Whoa, until.
Until. So, disclaimer for everyone that starts joining a little bit later or now. I'm gonna repeat this a few more times. I have two children walking around having very expressive emotions and thoughts, so they will be here once upon a time when I start talking about things that. Yes, hi. Ja, hoe kan dat nou, schatje? So, I'm going to talk about the new world, and the new world can only exist by new people who can create that new world. So, in order for that to happen, we need to evolve. We need to find or remember more of ourselves that's so unique to ourselves that can create that unique thing that we really love to be, right? That's where it is. If we cannot be a new version of us, that means nothing new can exist. So, on to the micro level of all things, that means that if I, to myself, won't do new things, that means a new world. Oh nee, schatje, hoe kan dat nou? So, yeah, that's terrible. Oh, yes. So, my lesson. Oh, yes, yes. Ja, ik zie het, schatje. Wow, amazing. Amazing. So, that. So that means the new self can only exist in a new world. Now, when I say this, it means that if you want to change your world or change the way that you are, you have to change everything that you don't like. And in order for that to happen, you have to get triggered, right? You have to see, okay, what am I? And how can I resolve my problems? Now, wow. And this new age is the same thing with the new world. The triggers, wars, financial crashes, financial systems that don't work, emotional outbursts that we still need to regulate. So it means we have to mature in our emotional body. And our consciousness has to evolve. Otherwise, we will repeat the same thing that we did before. And that to itself is what we call karma or what we call samsara. Karma can go into good ways and bad ways. And it's the same with other things. You can use it in a different way as well. If I do bad, then bad will happen. If I do good, good will happen. So if there is debt, we have to pay our debt. And that is also what karma means. So, in order for us to not repeat the same old problem, is to not repeat the same old lesson. Yes. What is it, honey? Hmm? Why is it that when daddy doesn't speak, you're quiet and you're soft and gentle? And when daddy starts speaking, you're like, oh, I need to talk too. I need to express too. Such a weird dynamic. Okay, now to go back to where I was, in order for us to elevate, to transcend, is we have to transcend from our older problems. We have to see, okay, what am I doing in order for us to stay in this frequency, in this level where you and I will repeat the same cycle. So if I don't know how to regulate my emotions or to express my problems, yes. Had jij de trein? En nu? Waar is hij nu? Oké, mooi. That means if we know how to regulate those emotions and problems or resolve those problems from a higher perspective, then yes, we can stop the loop. We can stop the karma from happening. We create a an answer that can transcend that loop. Now, that is the same with our. That's the same with the world as it is. So there's a problem. We fight constantly over safety, over resources, over power, over money. And it's especially about control somewhere. If I look at it in a more higher perspective dynamic, is that everyone has a certain view, they have a certain philosophy, and they would love to push that philosophy into existence. And they will make it a reality by allowing other people to subscribe to their reality, to their dream, etc., etc. And by doing so, dan moet je dat maken. Oh my God, my dear peoples, can you please chill down a little bit so that it can also focus on a little bit of talking and less on chaotic? Thank you very much. Can you do this for me, Joas? Thank you all. Okay, so to go back to where I was, I have to slow down a bit as well. Is that we have certain ideas about the world. And if everyone has that idea about the world, for example, if everyone feels like the world might go to shit, might explode, then that might be the self fulfilling prophecy that we are in together. If we have the majority thinking that everything is going to be well, everything is going to be good, let's create a better world altogether. But we have to take action, right? Because the other thing can also take action. Because if we think everything is going to hell, that means there's destruction, there's anger, there's separation, there's division, and all of that. And there was a point where we start uniting more and more and more. It's especially when we have a common enemy. And for that to happen, something needs to explode. And we don't want that to happen, explosions, right? So what we want is to see our own inner enemy. And that inner enemy is going to tell us, where can I learn from? What can I learn from? How do I stop fighting myself and also fighting someone else? How do I stop creating divisions? True unity only comes with peace, right? And peace only comes with acceptance of all things on this beautiful planet, even the wars, even all the other things that comes with it. It doesn't mean you are that you want it, but it is what it is. You can't change that. But what you can change is your environment. You can change is you. You can change is the way that we act, the way that we speak, the way that we think, because then we don't feed the old way anymore, the old world anymore. A dream that someone wants to play in. And that comes with, even in a relationship. If you have a narcissist or people, bullies, or whatever, how you want to call them, let's say bullies then, right? So if a bully wants you to be smaller, it will call you names, it will try and physically make you smaller in order for you to be submissive. So if someone then try to make you submissive by creating fear inside of your life, that means either you have to become stronger and step away from the environment, step away from those bullies, or become such a strong individual that the bully to itself doesn't have any power over you. Now, let's say the bully at the moment is also spiritually. It means they want to spiritually bully us into submission. And physically, that can happen by creating fear. And out of that fear, you become a lower frequency, a smaller version of you. That's also what bullies do, right? They put fear in you, so you'll always stay smaller in their world. And by this abusive relationship that we have with, let's say, some groups of people on this beautiful planet, we have to break the relationship. Now, in order for you to break that relationship, let me tell you a story about my life. I had some people around me, very narcissistic, and they love to twist and turn their stories into that they are the heroes and the saviors of the story. And if you don't subscribe to that story anymore, they will try and manipulate you emotionally or whatever in order for you to go back to their story because they want to be loved, they want to be seen, they want to be worshipped, etc., etc. And that, or maybe even feared, because that's also what a bully is, right? And by doing so, you already are entering their game. So now, how to step out of that game? It's a very easy thing, but also very difficult at the same time. My daughter, I think she's in the state of I want to sleep, so I'm gonna go and put this on pause because she really doesn't want me to talk anymore. So I'll be on a break now and have a very beautiful journey again. Hi, yo. Wow. Franca, that's beautiful. It's better to fart and bear the. So, for those who just arrived and for those who left a beautiful message, Franca, how do I XP? How do I just like that comment? It's an amazing comment. Right. Can now. Oh wait, I can actually stuck now. Okay, authenticity. That's exactly what authenticity means, right? Um, okay, I'm gonna go back again because my child is just like, really doesn't want me to be here. So, oh nee, oh weet die maken. So I'm gonna test this out again. Right when I start, right when I start talking, everyone starts talking. Every time when I start talking, take two. Let's try again. Let's try again. Every time, every time I pick up this mic, my daughter starts talking as well. And I wonder what it is. And now she just screams. You see? It's such a weird vibration. It's such a weird dynamic. And then she pushes, and then my son comes in. And let's see what happens over here. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yes. So actually, I'm gonna step more into the Buddhistic philosophy of the ocean and everything. And it seems that they, every time I go outside, I attract all of these small little munchkins that want something from me. And I have no idea why. Last time it was the same thing. Is that when I start talking, they come and ask for my attention. Okay, so the Buddhistic way of life. I think it comes with a lot of letting go and a lot of detachment. And not per se detachment when we are not connected to reality or connected to ourselves or connected to others. It's just very detached from the mind and from the story that creates a lot of suffering. And I feel this is also where the Buddha tried to understand is why do we suffer? Now, why we suffer is like now, for example, my son is jumping, screaming, or not screaming, but just playing. Ah, yeah, I see, I see. Wow. And my daughter is talking and talking. And I'm like, huh, maybe I should just shut off my live feed. But this is also the noise of the world. Everyone wants something of you. For example, all the media and all the people who want to sell you stuff. Yeah, I see you. Wow. And it wants to show you something, it wants to sell you something. And that can either cause suffering by having a negative connection to it, and by rejecting it, it becomes something that you have to avoid constantly. So we go into seclusion, we go into a cave, we go into monastery or whatever to escape from everything that is outside of us. Exciting. And the Buddha, he at one point also just went into seclusion. He went under the Bodhi tree and starts meditating and meditating, going inward to understand, okay, where does suffering come from? Do I now have to not eat anything to not suffer? Do I have to remove suffering as it is in order for me to be happy? And then the conclusion came. I don't need to do any of that. Ik zie het, schatje. Ik heb het de hele tijd al gezien. And it is to be in peace. It really is testing everything inside of me at the moment. Yeah, ik zie het, schatje. Wow. Amazing. Is to test the peace within yourself in the storm that is. So either you can attach yourself to suffering and then you can become that suffering. You can attach yourself to the noise outside of you and you can become that noise. You can try and control that noise outside of you and try to calm it down, try to dim it, try to, uh, move the way that you want in order for you to feel more peaceful. But that's not what the Buddha is teaching. The Buddha is teaching to stay on your own path, to stay in your own frequency, to stay in your own self, the love for yourself, but still be compassionate, still love one another, but not be attached to their story, to their suffering. Because in the end, it is their suffering. It's not your suffering, it is theirs. And we can be with that suffering, we can share from love, and you can support someone in that suffering, but you don't have to become that suffering. And this is where my great lesson was in my own life, is that there's the X amount of people around me in my life who are suffering, who has illnesses, who has their own struggles in their life, like I did at one point. And everyone goes through their own journey. And it's beautiful to be the light in that journey, but you don't have to become their pain. You don't have to become their sorrow. You can feel the sorrow, but you don't have to become. And that to itself is, I feel, what is where the problem comes in, is when you attach to it. And when you can just allow it to be free, then it can just be. En waar is je telefoon dan, schatje? So, by letting go, by detaching, you can feel peace again within yourself. But you also have to clean up yourself. Because if you don't clean yourself, that means there's no peace. Ja, geef maar, schatje.
Die zit gewoon neer.
Ja, ik zie het. So every time you want to control something, it means you have to force, you have to manipulate, you have to do everything in your power to create the outcome that you want. And this is also where narcissistic behavior comes in. Is they want to feel a certain way, they want to be a certain way, so they want to create that field, their environment, as they want, because otherwise... Yo, wat zachter, schatje. Zachter. Zachter. Oh. That's a lot of noises. This is... It challenges me in many different ways to stay within my own field, to stay within my own vibration, to stay within my own peace. And knowing that everyone has a need, everyone has a longing for something. And it's the same with in a relationship with yourself, with others, is that they have their own needs, they have their own longings. They go through their own processes. But if you can't be in peace with that, it means you will always have this conflict within yourself and outside of yourself. And it's always first within yourself, because you're allowing someone else to influence your life, influence your emotional state of being. And by doing so, the world can control you. And if the world can control you, that means you're no longer in control over your own life. And this is where, in the noise of everything, if you can find stillness, if you can find your own voice in all of that. Yes, Rachel. She's so tired at the moment. Yeah. If she doesn't want to give in. And when she gives in and surrender, then she will be in peace. She'll go to sleep. And this is the same with our mind. It's like if we surrender to our feelings, to where we need to be, then we can sink into while we are right now. And this is why the mind is such a difficult thing, is that we have used our mind so many times in different ways that we think that the mind is the one that is in control. But once we surrender to everything, that means you can allow life force to be. So it's within our own conditions, this control mechanism to steer everything around us, to steer and control everything so that we don't get hurt. So this is where our unsafe feeling comes in life, is we want to control everything so that we don't get hurt in love, in life, in relationships, etc. And it's the journey within ourselves, it's the journey with someone else to find the safety again, the trust again, to surrender to each other and knowing that we are here to help and support each other to be more in love with ourselves and with each other. And then peace can happen. Because if you try to force and change others, again, you go outside of you. And to stay with you, it means you have to think about you and how you can regulate things, how you can change things. Otherwise, it will be insanity, trying to change the whole world. And this is what happened in the world. They tried to force us into being a certain way, saying, talking in a certain way. We get cancelled if we are saying this and that. And that to itself is out of force, not out of love, out of force. And they want to change the world to their likeness so that they feel safe. Instead of that, we could just accept each other, in love with each other. And that's a whole different mindset and a whole different dimension, I would say. And that's the same when we are in love, is that in love, we don't have these weird thoughts, we don't have these judgments. We are in love with someone, the state of being, and then we don't see everything as the enemy. We see everything through that lens of love. And if we have to force that, that's not natural. It's indoctrination. And indoctrination to itself is not a good thing. It might help us to reach certain things, but it's not good. Let's say indoctrination with being good, right? So someone is being good, but it's fake good. It's, I have learned this way that this is good, so I do it that way. And then they think about the reward of being good. Not being good out of the heart of being good, but the reward that comes with being good. And that to me is still evil somewhere. Because then you use goodness as a tool to get what you want. That's still the ego. That's not being good, that's acting good. It's the same with indoctrinations surrounding religions and other sacred texts, is that you can act as if, but you are not yet. So therefore, it doesn't really, it's not empowered. It's not behind the word, the power behind the word. For me, the power behind the word is action, is becoming, is being. And if you are not that being, then it's a false message. And that to me is where we are at the moment with the world. We need authenticity in the world. We need true sayers and actually just beings, human beings that are in truth with who they are. So that we don't have to pierce through masks, we don't have to filter things anymore. We don't have to really think whether they are saying the truth or not, whether they're lying or not. Such a weird thing that we have to think about whether the media is telling the truth or not. Such a weird happening right now. And the more we understand ourselves, the easier it becomes to understand someone else. Also manipulation, by the way. If you understand how you lie and how you manipulate others and yourself into doing things that you don't want, then you understand how other people work. It's just the same thing, by the way, just different story. But if you know your own ways of doing things, you will probably know how someone else operate. And this to me is when we are truly awakening to the highest truth that can be, becoming the new identity, the new self, the new unique self that brings color to the world, that brings uniqueness to the world. And I feel this is what we need: authenticity, also in culture, also in language, also in everything that we are. If we lose that part of authenticity, I'm not saying the bad things in culture, by the way. I'm saying things that is everlasting, something of beauty, not things that separates us or limit our own being into submission, if that makes sense. Freedom to itself for me is just the most important thing in life. I think life to itself should be free. Of course, with education, that freedom can be expressed in a very beautiful way. And without education, we might, and hurting each other too much in that. And we are in that state now to see what are we doing in order for us to create a civilization out of that freedom, out of that expression of love. But in order for that to happen, love to itself needs to be, or we need to feel safe in expressing our love. Oh, dat is leuk.
Kijk wat ik aan het spelen ben.
Ja, ik zie het. Dan ben je altijd al aan het spelen, schatje. And out of that love for ourselves, out of that love for our children, for the world, we can create a better world. And that to me is where we can all start shifting. Shifting into a mindset, or not per se a mindset, into a frequency, into a version of you that brings more light to the world, more love to the world, more colors to the world, more excitement, more joy, more discovery. Like if we were to all enter that framework in that frequency, then the world will shift. And I already expressed this in a different live session, is that we have people who want to create a different frequency. Could be good, could be bad, dependent on how you perceive that, of course. And it's like subscribing to a certain reality. And if you subscribe to that reality, then that reality can exist. It can become. If 7 billion people are subscribing to that reality, that means they're going to create that reality. They're going to create that dream. And this is how countries work as well. Like they have their own philosophies and theories about how life should be, how life should work, how society should work. And they build upon that. And building upon that means there's an example. And out of that example comes the world that they have created so far. Now, if you take a look at how countries work and how they don't work, you see what works and what doesn't work. Philosophies, religions, etc., etc.